Spiritual Teaching 152. Love each other. 1. It is a day of remembrance in which the different religions congregate crowds hungry for the Word of God. See how each one of them commemorates Jesus' passion in a different way. 2. A day of remembrance in which the heart of man, removed for an instant from material pleasures, senses that his destiny does not end in this world, but, like Jesus, will have to walk the street of bitterness in this life to rise to the right hand of the Lord. 3. How few are those who, without rituals or representations, know how to revive in their hearts the passion of the Master. You spiritualists who listen to me through human understanding, do not expect me to come to relive that drama under the form of a materialization. I will that through my word you will remember the works and teachings that in those hours I gave you. The disciples are with me again, and I have told them, watch and pray. Be alert to the snares of temptation. See that the flesh is weak. 4. If at that time I told you that a new commandment I give you by saying, love one another, today I say, that commandment is still the first and the last. 5. I said to my disciples in the second era, very soon you will not see me because I am going to the Father, but soon I will be again among you, because I will send you the Comforter, the Spirit of truth. And here I am, disciples of the third era, keeping my word and my promise. 6. When the hour approached and the dinner had ended, Jesus had made the last recommendations to his disciples. He went to the Garden of Olives, where he went to pray, and speaking to the Father, he said, O Lord, if possible, set aside from me this chalice. But before that, your will be done. Then the one of my disciples who was to deliver me approached, accompanied by the mob that was going to apprehend me. When those asked, who is Jesus, the Nazarene? Judas approached his master and kissed him. In the hearts of those men there was fear and confusion as they contemplated the serenity of Jesus, and they asked again, who is Jesus? Then, advancing towards them, I said, here I am. There my passion started. 7. They took me before pontiffs, judges, and governors. I was interrogated, tried and accused of breaking the law of Moses and to want to form a kingdom that would destroy Caesar's. 8. How many hearts those days before had admired and blessed my works, forgetting about them, turned ungrateful and joined those who blasphemed against me. But it was necessary that this sacrifice be very great, so that it will never be erased from the heart of humanity. 9. The world, and you in it, saw me being blasphemed, mocked, and humiliated, as far as no man could have been. But I patiently drained the cup that you gave me to drink. Step by step, I fulfilled my destiny of love among men, giving everything to my children. 10. Blessed are those who, despite seeing their God bloody and panting, they believed in him. 11. But something greater still awaited me, to die nailed to a tree between two thieves. But it was written, and so should be fulfilled, so that I would be recognized as the true Messiah. 12. When from the top of the cross I directed my last glances at the crowd, I contemplated Mary, and I said, referring to John, woman, behold your son, and to John, son, behold your mother. 13. John was the only one at that time who could understand the meaning of that phrase, because the mobs were so blind, that when I told them, I am thirsty, they believed that it was thirst of the body, and they brought me gall and vinegar, when it was the thirst experienced by my spirit. 14. Also the two evildoers were dying together with me, and while one blasphemed and sank into the abyss, the other was illuminated with the light of faith. And despite seeing his God nailed to the ignominious tree and about to expire, he believed in his divinity and said, when you are in the kingdom of heaven, remember me, to which I responded, moved by so much faith. Truly I tell you, that today you will be with me in paradise. 15. Nobody knows the storms that were stirring in that hour within the heart of Jesus. The triggered elements were only a weak reflection of what happened in the solitude of that man, and the pain of the divine spirit was so great and so real that the flesh, feeling for a moment weak, exclaimed, my God, why have you abandoned me?" 16. If I taught men to live, I also came to teach them to die forgiving and blessing, even those who insulted and martyred me by saying to the Father, "Forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing." 17. And when the Spirit left this dwelling place, I said, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." The perfect lesson had ended, as God and as man had spoken. 18. But here you have me, people, as I promised you. I do not come in matter or in flesh, but in light, and I tell you, the time to sow my seed, it was also necessary to water it with blood. It has happened. But in exchange for it, how much will you have to purify yourselves and prepare yourselves? 19. Inspired by the light of the Holy Spirit, you will go step by step sowing this doctrine, making it heard by the deaf, making the blind contemplate it. Like the Master, you will suffer scorn, slander, and humiliation. You will be mocked by them, but you will not waver, because at the moment you will remember that the Son of the Most High, being all power and wisdom, he shunned the tests of men, to demonstrate their truth with them. 20. This is why at every moment I tell you, take from my word the spiritual and moral strength for your fight, because he who is strong in spirit will have to be strong also in matter. And I can also tell you that you will sometimes even reach the sacrifice, as I taught through Jesus in the second era. 21. Watch and pray, people, not only for material dangers, but also for the sneers that your eyes are not able to distinguish those that come from invisible beings. 22. The great legions of troubled spirits, taking advantage of humanity's ignorance, its insensitivity, and his lack of spiritual sight, they wage war on him, and men have not prepared their weapons of love to defend themselves from their attacks. So in the face of that fight, they appear as defenseless beings. 23. It was necessary for my spiritual doctrine to reach you, to teach you how you should prepare to leave victorious in that contest. 24. From that invisible world that beats and vibrates in your own world, influences come out that touch men, whether in their mind, in their feelings, or in their will, turning them into submissive servants, slaves, instruments, victims. Everywhere spiritual manifestations arise, and yet the world still does not want to be aware of what surrounds his spirit. 25. It is necessary to engage in battle, to destroy the darkness, so that when there is light in men, all stand up united in true communion and with prayer triumph in the fight you undertake against forces that have dominated them for so long. 26. Men and peoples have succumbed under the power of these influences without humanity noticing it. Rare and unknown diseases, which are produced by them. They have beaten men down and confused scientists. 27. How much discord, how much confusion and pain man has accumulated upon himself. The lack of prayer, morals, and spirituality. They have attracted impure and troubled beings. And what can be expected of those who have left without light and unprepared? 28. There are those whom you have deceived and oppressed, whom you have confused and humiliated. Alone confusion and darkness can send you. Only revenge can be exercised, and only claims are what they come to make you. 29. I come to save some and others from darkness, pain, and death, because I am the light that shines before men and before legions of troubled spirits. Who will recognize me first? 30. In the second era, having liberated a possessed person, those who looked at that said that Jesus had a pact with the spirit of evil. Instead, the spirit that tormented that man spoke to me, saying, I know who you are, the Holy One of God. 31. However, there were also those who marveled at these works, said, with what authority and power he commands the unclean beings, and they obey him. They did not know that this gift is in everyone, that these weapons are all you carry. Later, my disciples repeated the works of their master, thereby demonstrating that Christ came to teach men, that he not only came to show his power, but to reveal to humanity the gifts and the power that everyone has. 32. Pray, says the Master. Prayer gives luster and shine to the weapons of love, with which you must conquer peace for humanity. Awaken the faculties, the spirit is sensitized, the gaze becomes penetrating and the heart sensitive. 33. People, I have taught you to free yourselves and defend yourselves from invisible snares, to heal yourself from strange diseases and rid you of bad influences. But truly I tell you that only prayer and virtue they can serve you, as I have already revealed, to get ahead of those tests. If you invent other practices to replace them, you will be victims of such influences, and instead of shining light on your path, you will go increasing darkness. Then the world will call you with reason, sorcerers, witches, when I have given you a precious gift to bring light and peace to all needy spirits. 34. When will you make all that world of darkness, suffering, and turmoil become a world of peace? When will you be able to attract upon yourselves the light of the high spiritual mansions so that you can penetrate in harmony with all your brothers, in the abode that I have destined for you? 35. Due to the teaching that I have given you in my word, true miracles have been performed among you. Spirits awaken to a new day. Hearts beat full of hope. Those who did not reach to see the truth, because their ignorance was like a bandage that covered their spiritual eyes. Now that they see, they are amazed. The sick of the body are healed by receiving in their being, in their heart, the essence of my word. 36. Then, from the most intimate, from the purest of this people, a thanksgiving for the works that I do in it, and they say to me, Thank you, Lord, because you have made us worthy to see these miracles. 37. When these men and women have risen strengthened by my word of love, comfort, and wisdom, they have went out to meet their brothers, and they have done wonders on their way, many times without realizing it. 38. With their faith, they save hearts. With their testimony, they scatter the darkness and awaken those who were lethargic. With their intuition, they are solving the problems of life, and with their strength, they know how to resist tests. His hands are learning to anoint the sick. His mind is finding a way to analyze my word, and with it he delights. His prayer helps them to develop their gifts that were dormant, and thus, walking step by step, they are making their Lord so wonders on their way. 39. The places where my word has been manifested have multiplied, each one of them being like a school of true knowledge, where the multitudes that make up my disciples congregate, who come eager to learn the new lesson. 40. If each of these congregations gave testimony of all the benefits that by my charity has received, would they not end up bearing witness to those wonders? And if you had to put together in a book what I have said through all my spokesmen, from the first of my words to the last of them, it would be a work that you could not carry out. 41. But I have sent to all humanity, through my people, a book in which is contained the essence of my word and the testimony of the works that I carried out among you. Do not be afraid to undertake this company, because I will inspire so that in this book of teachings that are indispensable, are established. 42. Do you think by chance that what my apostles wrote in the second era was all that I said on earth? I really tell you no. Look at what he tells you, John, my disciple. There are so many works that Jesus did, that if each one of them were written, I think that the world would not fit the books that should be written. 43. Look, disciples, as they also, at the moment of writing, I only inspired them and let them remember what was indispensable, to remain as a testimony to future generations. 44. In this age I have come to you, raising once more my word from the dead to the life of grace. I call you thus, because in your being you carry a spirit that has not known how to feed itself with the bread of life, and therefore has not understood that he belongs to eternity. 45. I came to see the fruit of the word that I gave to the world in the second era, and I find that the evil has continued to flourish and bear its better fruit among humanity. I look for the mark that my sacrifice must have left on the heart of man, and the blood that I find is that which has been shed by men in their fratricidal wars, blood sinful in some, innocent in others, but who always speaks to me of hatred, low passions, spiritual darkness, death. 46. This is the world you are going to face, O people. But do not fear, because the spirit of humanity has evolved a lot. And if you know how to give advice with words that spring from your heart as I have taught you, you will see open his eyes to the light and hold you in his arms with love and charity. 47. These times should be one of preparation and meditation, people, because if you do not take advantage of them now, you will yearn for them. 48. You must carry out many works so that you are prepared to get up to preach my work. You must get to the complete regeneration of your whole life so that, when the one who hears the doctrine that you are going to preach come to your home or follow your steps to scrutinize you, only find clarity and truth in your works. 49. If you want to show the world the greatness of the doctrine that I have taught you at this time, think that first you must become like clean mirrors that can reflect light. Do not always trust the eloquence of your language or the greater or lesseries of your word. Truly I tell you, the most beautiful words will never reach the strength of conviction that a good work has, no matter how simple it may be. 50. Beloved people, this is the third day on which I come to resurrect my word from the dead. This is the third era in which I appear before the world in spiritual form, to say, this is the same Christ as in the man you saw expire on the cross, who now comes to speak to you, because he lives and will be forever. 51. On the other hand, I see that men, despite the fact that in their religions they claim to be telling the truth, carry the heart dead to faith, love, and light. They believe that by praying in their temples and attending their rites, their salvation is assured. But I tell you that it is necessary for the world to know that salvation will only be achieved by performing works of love and charity. 52. The campuses are only the school. The religions will not only have to specify themselves to explain the law, but to achieve that humanity understands that life is the way where it must apply what it has learned in the divine law, putting into practice my doctrine of love. 53. The one who only listens to the lesson, the one who is settled for attending the call, teaching, and already believes himself having done his duty, he is in serious error. Because if he learned the lesson that was revealed to him and did not practice, he did not comply with his master or with his brothers or even with himself. He was just a disciple who, having thought he understood the teaching, he forgot the most important thing about it, that is, putting into practice love, forgiveness, charity, patience, faith, and all that is good that contains and advises a divine lesson. 54. Beloved people, learn to be the last, so that you will be the first before me. I want you humble of heart, simple and virtuous. Do not be seduced by the false glories of the earth, which only serve to divert the spirit from the true path or to park you, wasting precious time for your spiritual advancement. Always look for the place where you can be most useful, always preferring it to the one that makes you appear more remarkable. 55. Do not be vain or frivolous. Do not love the first places as the Pharisees did, to achieve dominion over the people and that they do them honors. 56. The truly elevated spirit is not stained by such miseries because it is repulsed by ostentation, flattery, and finery. He who complies with the law of God by applying it to the spiritual and human life is enough and even has plenty of peace that he receives from me after each of his works. 57. Looking for the best places, the looks and the compliments, is to love yourself before everyone else, and that is to be very far from the fulfillment of my law. 58. Didn't I say to you, you will love God before everything created? That is the meaning of the first precept. Didn't I tell you, you will love yourselves as brothers? That is the second thing you must do. See then how your self-love must be the last and never the first. 59. That is why I called those Pharisees hypocrites, who calling themselves the most zealous in the service of God, always sought being the first in the synagogue. They enjoyed receiving the homage of the people, always trying to cover their bodies with very good finery to hide under them all their iniquity. 60. I don't want to call you hypocrites. If you don't feel clean, at least be discreet. But do not boast of clarity, because it would be very sad for someone who was already believing in your wisdom and virtue to discover the truth and see that your testimony was false. 61. May sincerity and truth always be in your actions. 62. May humility always be in your life. I ask it of you. 63. You will then see how true virtue will dwell in your heart. You will notice it when your right hand has done a good deed and the sinister has not even noticed it. 64. Tell the world that it is not necessary for Christ to come to be born and to die in man before each generation so you may be saved. My word of the second era is still alive, touching all spirits and calling the heart of each generation. 65. I am giving you my new message so that it will facilitate you to understand all the previous revelation. 66. I have returned among men to accompany them in their present trials. I tell you, do not worry when you meet the signs of my new manifestation, but rather rejoice, because I have allowed you to touch these teachings. 67. Just as in the second era, after the sacrifice, I presented myself in spirit to Magdalena, and she was surprised, and at the same time, full of joy, she exclaimed, O Lord, be praised and glorified forever. Now I have appeared before you, and when you believed that the Master was absent or indifferent to your hardships, after your surprise, you have blessed. You have received my light in your spirit, and after receiving so much grace, you have remembered your brothers, and you have interceded for them, saying, I have the happiness of listening to your word, while others ignore these teachings. And I tell you, I have manifested my spirit in all nations, in different ways. Those who have prepared, they recognize that they are living a time of grace and justice, and they have felt my presence. 68. Just as I forgave Magdalena, I forgive all of you, but I want you to become worthy of me like her. 69. How many examples worthy of being imitated can you gather from your brothers of other times? His work is like an open book, and don't you want to write your example? I will take your works that I find worthy to present them to your descendants. You will not gather glory or veneration while you live in the flesh. Be humble and let that others value your works. 70. On the great journey that awaits you, I will be your Cyrenian. 71. My doctrine will cause great revolutions in the world. There will be great transformations in customs and ideas, and even in nature there will be changes. All this will mark the entrance of a new era for humanity and the spirits that in a short time I will send to earth. They will speak of all these prophecies to help the restoration and elevation of this world. They will explain my word and analyze the facts. My peace be with you.